May 2011. Just after 12 a.m., a luxury hotel suite overlooks Melbourne's glowing streets. The room is silent except for the distant pulse of traffic far below. Floor-to-ceiling windows stretch across the wall, reflecting a man who hasn't slept in 2 days. His name is Dan Saunders. He stands barefoot on cold tiles, staring out at the city. His breath fogs against the glass as red and blue lights wash over the street below. Police cars, at least 3 of them. Their sirens fade in and out, echoing between the high-rise towers. Dan steps back from the window. His hands shake the way they have shaken every night for the past week. He closes the curtains, but the colors still bleed through. Someone knocks on a door down the hallway. One heavy knock, then another. Dan freezes. For the past 4 months, he has lived on borrowed time, borrowed luxury, borrowed money that never technically existed. He has flown private jets, booked penthouse rooms, and spent cash faster than he could count it. But it all leads back to one night in February, in a small town, at an ATM no one paid attention to. Dan whispers to himself, "How did I end up here?" To answer that, we go back to where it all began. February 2011, just after 12 a.m., Wangaratta, Australia. The pubs are closing. Neon signs buzz. The streets are almost empty. Dan pushes through a sticky wooden door and steps outside. He is 29, broke, and invisible to almost everyone he knows. His pockets hold a few coins, not enough for a cab, not enough for anything. He walks under flickering streetlights toward the only ATM on the block. The machine glows like a beacon in the dark. Dan slips in his worn bank card. The screen loads slowly. Then it flashes a message he has never seen before. Balance unavailable at this time. Not insufficient funds, not denied, just unavailable. The screen flickers again. Dan swears he sees his real balance, $342, for a split second before it disappears. He frowns. That isn't normal. A mix of alcohol and curiosity pushes him to do something he would never try sober. He taps through the ATM menu. He selects a transfer. He attempts to move $200 from his credit account to his nearly empty savings account. He hits confirm. The machine whirs, pauses, then spits out his card with a message. Transaction canceled. No withdrawal, no receipt, no money. Dan sighs and turns to leave. Then he stops. Something about that flicker, the timing, the strange error, the way the machine seemed half awake. He hesitates. Then he slides his card back in. Withdraw. Savings account. $200. A soft clicking sound comes from deep inside the machine. Dan steps back. The ATM spits out $200 in crisp bills. He stares at the cash in his hand. His pulse kicks. This shouldn't be possible. He looks up at the security camera above him. A red light blinks. Dan stuffs the money into his pocket and walks away as calmly as he can. His heart pounds so loudly, he can barely hear the quiet street around him. Did he just stumble into something impossible? Dan should go home. He should forget it. He should pretend none of this ever happened. But the street is empty. The town is quiet. The ATM glows behind him like it's waiting. Dan circles the block. The air feels colder now. He goes back. Another fake transfer, another withdrawal. $500, cash. No hesitation. He tries again. $600, cash again. Dan laughs under his breath. A strange, disbelieving laugh. The kind that slips out when reality cracks open for a moment and shows something it shouldn't. By the time he walks home, his wallet is thick. His mind races. Every step feels unreal, like he's drifting through a dream. He lies awake, staring at the ceiling. He whispers, "Will it work tomorrow?" Morning sunlight spills through Dan's blinds. He sits up slowly, expecting the night to feel like a drunken illusion. But the bills are still there, real, crisp, heavy. His pulse quickens. He grabs his phone and calls the bank's automated system. He enters his details. The robotic voice reads out his savings balance.
Savings balance, $2,000.
Dan sits still. Not a dream, not a glitch in memory. The money is real. He grabs a pen and scribbles a rough plan. Something wild, something that shouldn't work, something that will change everything. Each night, between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., the ATM seems blind, offline, disconnected. He can withdraw cash. Then later, when the system updates, the numbers adjust without checking. So here's the plan. Withdraw cash at 1 a.m. Let the account go negative. The next night, cover it with a fake transfer for a larger amount. Withdraw again. Repeat. Grow the loop. A money yo-yo. A glitch in the bank's night cycle. Only one way to know if it works. Try again. That night, just before 1 a.m., Dan walks back to the same ATM. The cold air bites at his face. His heart pounds as the clock hits 1 a.m. Card in. Menu open. Transfer $4,000 from a credit account that doesn't have anywhere near that limit. The ATM accepts it. He withdraws $2,000 to cover yesterday's negative balance. He walks away holding cash. The next morning, his account shows $4,000. No warnings, no alerts, no calls from the bank. It works. Night after night, Dan plays the same silent game. He stretches the loop further. $8,000, $16,000. Numbers climb like a staircase only he can see. On day 12, the ATM freezes mid-transaction. His card is trapped. Dan stops breathing. 30 seconds drag on like hours. Then, suddenly, the machine clicks and releases the card. Transaction complete. Dan wipes sweat from his forehead. Within weeks, he walks into a bank branch to deposit a small amount of cash. A teller glances at the screen and says casually,
"Your savings balance is over $1 million, sir."
Dan feels dizzy. A millionaire, on paper, from a glitch. He steps outside into the sun, blinking hard. He whispers, "This can't be real." But it is. For the next 5 months, Dan lives like he stepped into someone else's life. He books private jets to Bali, hotel villas, beachside cocktails, champagne that costs more than cars. He tips $100 bills without thinking. He buys out VIP sections. One night at a nightclub, he drops $50,000 in a single evening. Strangers gravitate toward him. Friends he hasn't seen in years suddenly remember they miss him. Dan pays off student loans, covers a friend's university fees, even clears the debt of someone he barely knows. For the first time in his life, he feels powerful, seen, unstoppable. And every night, the ritual continues. 1 a.m. Transfer, withdraw, grow the loop. But the higher he climbs, the more he senses the fall waiting. His hands tremble at random. He wakes up sweating. Every knock on a hotel door makes him freeze. The fear is growing, and it won't stop. By late May 2011, Dan's nerves are shredded. He dreams of police lights. He dreams of sirens. He dreams of losing everything. Every morning, he Googles his name with the word arrest. Nothing, but nothing feels like the sound before a storm hits. The bank calls him sometimes, not to investigate, not to warn him, just to confirm his purchases. Did you spend $8,000 at a luxury hotel last night?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Dan hangs up and stares at the phone. It's absurd. He is draining money that shouldn't exist, and no one cares. But the dread keeps building. He drinks more, sleeps less, smiles on the outside while his heart races on the inside. One night, his friend Jake grabs his wrist at a bar.
I know what you're doing.
Dan's mouth goes dry.
You're going to prison. I can't watch it happen.
Jake walks out. Dan orders another bottle, the most expensive one they have. The taste is gone. June 2011. Dan breaks the loop. He stops the midnight transfer. He lets the system update honestly for the first time in months. In seconds, his account plunges into the negative millions. The entire illusion collapses. The next morning, he calls the bank manager, voice shaking. He tries to confess. The manager interrupts him.
Sir, we can't discuss this. It's a police matter.
Dan hangs up. He waits for sirens, for hours, then days, then weeks. No one comes. Not because they don't know, because they're preparing something bigger. Dan realizes the truth. They're building a case, piece by piece. Every transaction, every withdrawal, every night out. He waits in fear for 2 full years. Dan breaks. He can't take the waiting anymore. He contacts a major newspaper. He tells them everything, every detail, every number, every midnight withdrawal. His story spreads across Australia.
The bartender who found the infinite cash hack.
Then he goes on national TV, calm, honest, exhausted. A few weeks later, the police finally act. Dan is charged. He walks into court knowing exactly what's coming. The prosecutor struggles to explain the crime. He stole money that didn't exist. The judge asks for clarification twice. Dan almost smiles. They understand it about as well as the bank did. He pleads guilty. His sentence, 1 year in prison, 18 months of community corrections. He serves it quietly. When Dan gets out, he returns to ordinary life. Ordinary shifts, ordinary paychecks, ordinary nights. One night at the bar, a regular recognizes him.
You're that ATM guy.
The man says. He slides Dan a $20 bill.
Best tip you'll ever get.
Money I actually earned. They both laugh. Dan pockets the bill. It feels different than all the others. Grounded. Real. No more penthouses. No more private jets. No more phantom millions. Just a man who learned how fast you can lose yourself when the world suddenly gives you everything. Dan isn't rich anymore. He isn't legendary. He isn't a millionaire created by a glitch. He's something better. He's free.